from masterminding financial panics across the world and full-scale global warfare to high-profile assassinations and regime changes, the Illuminati has been linked to many incredibly nefarious schemes that are so complex and patiently executed, undefined by haste or immediacy, that they have been completely relegated to that of fiction and conspiracy rather than a reasonable probability. The idea of the Illuminati, under different names and guises of course, has existed since Babylonian times. It didn't come to the way we know it as today until May 1st, 1776, under the leadership of a Bavarian man named Adam Weishaupt. Please note that May 1st is commonly referred to as May Day, an ancient festival of spring celebrated widely across Europe throughout history. Weishaupt was born in 1748 in Ingolstadt, Bavaria, to Jewish parents who would later convert to Roman Catholicism. Weishaupt's father died early in his life, and he was sent to live with his godfather Johann Eichstätt, who was a law professor at Ingolstadt as well as a proponent of the Enlightenment-era philosophy, which made an early imprint on Weishaupt. Eichstätt had him begin his formal education at the age of 7, attending both monastery and later high schools run by Jesuits. Weishaupt was an educated man, learning to speak 5 different languages. The Jesuit leadership groomed him to take on the role as a missionary, but Weishaupt, who was turned off by the strict dogmatic constraints on free thought and intelligent discourse of the Enlightenment-era ideas, instead decided to rebel and teach canon law at Ingolstadt University. A sponge to knowledge, Weishaupt began reading any manuscript and scholarly work he could get his hands on. From these he became influenced by Enlightenment-era philosopher Voltaire and empirical philosopher Johann Feder, as well as Egyptian occultism and Buddhism, among other things. Eventually, in 1771, after a return from the pyramids of Giza, Adam Weishaupt made the decision to construct a secret society, the Illuminati we know and talk about today. He took 5 years to further draw inspiration from other societies and Enlightenment thinkers before unveiling his magnum opus. Underneath the core idea of free discourse and religious freedom, Weishaupt developed a 7-point plan to ultimately form a new world order. These 7 points include: 1. Abolish ordered governments. 2. Abolish private property. 3. Abolish inheritance. 4. Abolish patriotism. 5. Abolish religion. 6. Abolish the family unit. 7. Create a new world order, or a totalitarian socialist society if you may. Using his admiration and influence of the Great Pyramids of Giza, constructed the hierarchy and groups within the Illuminati under this principle. They were later tiered into a 13-layer pyramid ordered into 3 separate groups. On May 1, 1776, the Illuminati finally formed and met for the first time. The group consisted of Adam Weishaupt and 5 of the best law students at Ingolstadt University, handpicked by Weishaupt himself. Originally, the group's name was the Order of the Perfectibilists, but that name is trash and was changed forevermore to the Order of the Illuminati shortly thereafter. The group adopted the Owl of Minerva as their symbol. The Owl of Minerva, sometimes referred to as the Owl of Athena, is symbolic to wisdom and can be commonly found on the back on the U.S. $1 note. The early years of the Illuminati's existence saw little growth in membership as the organization was not managed and structured in an efficient manner where members can grow within the ranks. Anyone over the age of 30 was instantly overlooked under the belief that their age would mean they were more likely to be stuck in their ways than open-minded to the ideas that were the Enlightenment-era thinking. That is until 1780, when German Freemason Adolf Ludwig von Knigge joined and brought with him Freemason influence and structure. Knigge's quick ascension in the ranks and leadership within the organization saw its members rise to over 300 by 1780. 1782 was probably the Illuminati's most pivotal year, as couple key events transpired, all resulting from the convent of Wilhelmsbad, which saw the dissolution of the Order of Strict Observance, a Masonic body of 18th century. First, the Illuminati moved its headquarters from Ingolstadt to Frankfurt after formally uniting with the Freemasons. Frankfurt was also the same location where patriarch of the Rothschild banking dynasty, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, resided at the time. Next, Knigge's new system of grades for the order were introduced. These grades were divided into 3 classes: Class 1, 2, and 3, or the nursery, the Masonic grades, and the mysteries respectively. Knigge used his knowledge of the Freemasonry organizational structure to create a more formal, cohesive, and defined foundation that would further solidify the order's legitimacy. The grades of the novitiate, the minor val, and illuminatus minor were organized into the nursery. The three Blue Lodge grades of apprentice, companion, and master, which were separated from the higher Scottish grades of Scottish novice and Scottish knight, were set into the Masonic grades. The mysteries grades were further divided into two separate grades consisting of lesser mysteries and greater mysteries. The lesser mysteries held the grades of both priest and prince, while the greater mysteries consisted of the mage and king. Now, as we have gone on about all of the recent success the order was going through, things didn't remain sunshine and rainbows between Weishaupt and Knigge for long. In 1783, tensions between the two men began as Weishaupt was viewed by Knigge as overly critical of the ritual process to the level of severe micromanagement. Weishaupt was using the society and the core beliefs for which they stood as a vehicle to influence its members in political affairs when they went into power. By July 1, 1784, Knigge had seen himself out of the secret society. Despite his departure, the Illuminati was still growing strong. At the height of its power and influence, expanding all over Europe and into the American colonies, by 1785 membership estimates were up to 2.500, with a reported 15 lodges in the colonies. However, like all great rises to power, there comes an equally great fall. Stay tuned for our next chapter in this series titled, A House Divided, Disbandment of the Illuminati, 1785, where we will talk about the history of internal struggles and ultimate actions that caused the secret society into years of exile. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Conveniently Unspoken. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And remember, the truth may be conveniently unspoken, but it's worth seeking.